Hey everyone, it's May Donna. Okay, I'm finally getting around to making this video of my test results from a DNA company where I took a DNA test about a few months ago, and my results came in a few weeks ago, but I've been kind of busy and I haven't gotten around to making this video until now. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's go to the ancestry report. If it will load up. Okay, I have to say the results weren't bad. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. They were better than Ancestry.com and 23andMe and MyHeritage and all that. I have to say it's better than that, so I give them a plus on that. But I don't think they went as deep as they probably could have. Of course, they, by far, CRI Genetics is better. When I take the raw DNA and upload it to Genome Link and GEDmatch, I get far better results. So I have to say the actual ancestry part, somewhere in the middle as far as my opinion about it. But the interesting thing is, it did pick up on my, what I would call Oceania, which has to do with like Polynesian, Papuan, that type of thing, if I pronounced that right. So I thought that was interesting that they actually picked that up. That has popped up in other DNA tests here and there at different levels, different percentages. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Let's see. Also, it picked up like Turkish, like basically my Middle Eastern. It picked up on that, so that was pretty cool. A thing that I noticed that was different is that it really picked up on my Orcadian, which has to do with the islands up above the Scottish, up above that Scotland and all that area. So it really picked up on that. Normally my Scottish doesn't really, it doesn't get like picked out or really I guess noticed in DNA tests. It just kind of gets lumped in with my British and Irish and all that. So even though I don't feel like the percentage is as high as this, I still am glad that at least it's showing up, and at least it's kind of standing out on this test. So I enjoyed actually seeing that, and it's kind of got me interested. I kind of want to know a little bit more about these indigenous people from these Scottish islands and all that. So yeah, I was pretty surprised and pleased that popped up. That was pretty cool. Also, my Iberian, which can be classified as Spanish, Portuguese, whatever, that popped up again. That has showed up in other DNA tests. So that was no surprise. All right, my Scandinavian, that wasn't a surprise because that's also popped up in other DNA tests as well. And then, of course, my British and Irish, it lumped those together. That wasn't surprising. I know I have quite a bit of those two. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, it's pretty interesting. The one thing that I was kind of disappointed in is that my African and my Native American, actual Native American, did not show up in this test. And I think it's because they didn't go back far enough, even though what's weird is it does show up in my 23andMe, and my 23andMe results are, completely worse than this, especially since they've done all their updates and all that. I don't really want to get into that little soapbox, but I'm just surprised that they at least didn't pick up on that. But I mean, it is what it is, and I'm happy to see, at least this much. I find it interesting. And the way that I look at DNA tests, some people agree or disagree or whatever, is there's at least something to it. Now, the percentages vary. It depends on the company, depends on their reference panel, it depends on how they do their calculations, uh, how big of strips they use of your DNA. All those things factor into their results. So you have to take that into consideration. But still, there's at least something to it, or it would not show up at all. In my opinion, none of this is static, because I don't believe in static. Not in this day and age. People can argue that point till the cows come home. I believe if it shows up, you at least have at least a little piece of it. You have something in your DNA that represents something within that area, at least at one time, or at least people who have close kinship to those people. Okay, if that makes any sense. But there is at least something there that triggers your DNA to represent that in the results. Okay, so again, I don't really give too much credence to the percentages. I just know that at least it's there in some form or fashion. Okay, that's how I'm going to look at it. All right. So again, the results were not too bad. Okay. All right. Another thing that caught my interest is that the traits results. Now, I was pretty interested in what this showed, and I will gander on down on this page. But it shows you things. Now, some things I kind of disagree with. For instance, I've always believed that my blood type was A positive because I've given blood before. I've, had my blood taken, several times throughout my life, and it always showed up as A positive. But according to this, it's A negative. So that's kind of thrown me off a little bit. At least they got the blood type right, but I'm not understanding why it showed up as RH negative. That's kind of thrown me for a loop. Okay. Also, it said that I'm not redheaded. I am redheaded. My father was redheaded. His mother was redheaded. Her mother was redheaded. My mom's father was strawberry. He had strawberry hair. So I know that I've got the recessive gene from both parents. But honestly, and this isn't the only test that I have showed up as not being redheaded. I think that there's something going on with certain recessive hair color genes. Even though normally black hair or brown hair is known as a dominant gene, but I think there are other recessive genes that are kind of that are representative of dark hair, but not blonde hair, but anywhere between red and brown colors. That there's different spectrums of it, and for some reason scientists haven't narrowed down enough to specify if those particular recessive genes represent red hair or brown hair. I would like to see maybe more research done in that, to where they can do a better job about narrowing it down, because I am definitely redheaded. Not bright red. It's more of a honey red, I guess you could say. So yeah, but I just thought that was interesting that it showed up in this, and then some other DNA tests I've taken. I thought, okay, that's weird that it keeps popping up, but I'm definitely redheaded. So yeah. But other things, it tells you if you're likely to be an addict, or if you're likely to, have good aging genes or not. All that type of thing. The good thing is, of course, it tells me that I have, I guess what you say, genetic disposition to be an addict. So therefore, I'm glad I've stayed away from drugs and stuff like that, because that's something I've always been afraid of. I always listened when they said say no to drugs. in school and all that. So I'm glad I stayed away from it because I definitely would not want to be an addict. So yeah, thank God for that. So yeah, I mean, there were some pretty interesting things about this. One thing I noticed, like my thyroid, it did mention that I have two recessive genes in some areas that might cause me to have thyroid issues. Nothing major, but it could. So like if I do have like any major issues with my thyroid, then I can kind of say, okay, well, maybe it's because of my genetics or whatever. But yeah, I did find that to be pretty interesting. So about that, I'm glad that they you know mentioned that in their thing, because that does kind of, you know it can help a person in that sense. Not that I'm the type to go run into a doctor or anything like that over, issues that could or could not be, but it is something to kind of put in the back of your mind just in case, something goes wrong with your thyroid, or just in case something else happens. It is kind of a little bit of a help to where if you know that you're genetically dispositioned to have that or something. Same thing with hormonal stuff, things like that. It mentions that type of stuff. Maybe in some things, like maybe if you might be a little more prone to having a gene that might could cause certain kinds of cancers and stuff like that. That's kind of interesting, to see results on that. But I don't recommend, giving too much credence to this, because a person could probably drive themselves crazy thinking that, oh no, I've got this, I got this, I got this, and all that. So if you're a hypochondriac, this is not to make fun of people with that disorder, but this would probably not be, good for that. But if you just kind of want to kind of keep check of things and see what you may or may not be dispositioned for, this might be a good thing to do. And then of course also they've got the wellness feature in it as well, which has to do with your body's ability to do certain things, like to process certain things. Also, whether or not, which like a lot of tests tell you, even like 23andMe and a few others, the basic thing will let you know if you're prone to being able to taste bitter tastes, your caffeine, like, how you process caffeine, and, just different things like that. Your BMI, your cholesterol, just, muscle endurance, those types of things. It mentions that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I enjoyed looking at all that, and I don't mind sharing some of that with you guys, because it is what it is. Nobody's perfect. So yeah, those things I think are good. So that's why, since it's an added thing in with your results, I would have to upgrade my, instead of like giving it a C as far as the ancestry alone, I upgraded it to like a B plus, because it adds this extra stuff in it with your basic test. I think that makes it a more of an interesting thing to look at and everything. So yeah, I would definitely give it a B plus because of that. So anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and make this video, and get it while everything's fresh in my mind, and I don't end up forgetting about it. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.